Good evening. The 2023 Windham Southeast School District Annual Meeting is now in order. If you'd like, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. I'd like to welcome everybody to our first in-person meeting in, I think, over 3 years. Round of applause. I have been sidelined over those last 3 years, and I'm ready to get back to work as your moderator, and I'm eager to fulfill my duties. Now, by way of introductions tonight, I'd like to introduce Kelly Young, the chair of the Windham Southeast School District Board, and she will introduce the board members.
Good evening. I'm Kelly Young. I'm the chair of the board. Sean Murphy. Sorry about that. Sean Murphy from Guilford, Michelle Green from Dummerston, Tim Maciel from Brattleboro, Robin Morgan from Brattleboro, Liz Adams from Putney, Deborah Stanford from Dummerston, Lana Dever from Brattleboro, and Ann Beekman from Putney.
Thank you. Superintendent Mark Spino, will you please introduce the administration officials who are with us this evening?
Will do. Thank you all for coming out tonight, and thank you, board directors, for your work on this budget. We have a number of people here tonight. Paul Smith, curriculum coordinator. Mary Kaufman, Oak Grove School principal. Kate Margaitis, Green Street School. Brandy Levesque, early ed. Cassie Domcooler, BUHS principal. Tom Dotton, BAMS assistant principal. Julianne Egan, principal of Dummerston School. Whitney Line, special ed elementary coordinator. Nancy Weiss, Windham Regional Career Center director. Mary Ross, Vernon Elementary School as part of our SU. John Gagnon, Guilford principal. Bryn Tucker, curriculum coordinator. Lily DePino, math coach. John Sessions, Putney principal. Hannah Parker, BUHS assistant principal. Tate Erickson, special ed coordinator. Joe Gruda, special ed director. And Keith Lyman, BAMS principal. Oh, and Kelly Diaz, Academy School principal.
Thank you, Superintendent Spino. Unless there's an objection from the body, those members of the administration and officers who are not residents of the district may speak to the articles since their expertise would otherwise not be available. Are there any objections?
I got one more.
We have one more introduction.
Tracy Lane, assistant principal, BUHS.
Seeing no objections, those members of the administration and officers who are not residents of the district may speak to the articles. Unless there's an objection from the body, the student representatives, Kaya Colby and Benjamin Berg, who are part of the Windham Southeast School District Board, who are not of legal voting age, may speak to the articles since their expertise would not otherwise be available. Is there an objection? Seeing no objection, those student representatives who are not of legal voting age of the district may speak to the articles. Now, this is something that's very important. Members of the class of 2026 are in the lobby selling refreshments. Please spend some money and support the class of 2026. Bathrooms are located outside the rear doors to the right. We have 2 microphone passers. We have Anna Cummings and Ziara Pacheco. And so when you raise your hand and you're recognized to speak, please wait until either Anna or Zara pass the microphone to you. BCTV production crew is here recording and broadcasting the meeting. And I'd also like to say a special thank you to Jamie Dan Serino. Jamie, are you still in the room? Big thank you to him. He sets us all up and he makes this happen. So let's have a round of applause for Jamie. The town clerks who are at the rear of the room of their respective towns and their assistants will be appointed as ballot tellers and vote counters for this meeting. And the Sheriff Mark Anderson from the Windham County Sheriff's Office, is appointed to serve as Sergeant at Arms. The meeting rules. Those persons desiring to participate in any district meeting held at the Brattleboro Union High School Gymnasium must enter the main entrance from the parking lot. All those desiring to vote must register with their town clerk at the tables near the entrance. Upon registering, if found qualified, each voter will be given a colored card, which is to be raised when the voter... Are we back on? All right. When the voter wishes to have their vote counted. All voters must be seated in the 4 reserved sections, which are in front of me on the gymnasium floor, or in the reserved sections of the bleachers. All other persons, except fire, police officials, and other technical staff, shall be seated in the areas designated for observers and visitors. At this time, I'd ask that any person sitting in the reserved sections who are not qualified voters, please move to the area designated for observers and visitors. So if you're not a voter in the district, if you could please move to a non-designated area. Voting in all matters shall be by voice, by division of the voters, or by paper ballots. A division shall be had in the discretion of the moderator or upon the demand of 6 or more voters. A vote by paper ballot shall be had upon the demand of 7 or more voters. Voters who have spoken at least once on the question shall not again be entitled to the floor, to the exclusion of another who has not yet spoken without leave of the voters. To gain the floor, each speaker shall raise, adjust a chair, give his or her name and the town of residence. Please wait to speak until you have been passed the microphone. Debate shall be limited to 2 minutes per person speaking for the first time on any article. Special committees of the voters may be established by the voters by their existence shall be continued only from year to year, that's July 1st through June 30th, unless renewed by the next annual meeting and subsequent meetings thereafter. On the motion of any voter, any meeting may resolve into a committee of the whole on any pending question. All parliamentary procedures and rulings shall be governed by Robert's Rules of Order, current edition, except as modified by these rules, as amended, and Vermont law, 16 VSA, section 562. And other reminders, my role as the moderator is to help you accomplish the business you intend to do. Please raise your hand and ask questions if you don't understand what is happening, or if you think what is happening is wrong for some reason, or if you want to do something but you don't know how to proceed. Please tell me if you feel I'm ruling improperly. You have the right to challenge the moderator's rulings by appealing. And here we go. Without further ado, let's take up Article 1. The Article 1 is to act upon the reports of the officers. Is there a motion on the floor?
I move that the reports of the district officers be approved as presented.
And that was Kelly Young. Is there a second to the motion? I see a second. It's been moved and seconded that the reports of the district officers be accepted as presented. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, are we ready to call the question? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed to the motion, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. The motion carries. The reports of the district officers have been accepted as presented. We will now have Superintendent Spino come to the microphone for discussion on Article 2.
Thank you. Moving on to Article 2, to elect the officers of the district, which officers shall assume office upon election and serve for a term of 1 year. Moderator, clerk, treasurer. Is there a motion?
Yes.
I hear a motion. Is there a second?
Oh, do I have to read the motion first?
Oh, yes, sorry. I'm new at this.
I move that Stephen Brown be nominated to serve as moderator of the Windham Southeast School District, that Maureen Hart be nominated to serve as clerk of the district, and that Frank Rucker be nominated to serve as treasurer of the district.
Is there a second? I hear a second. Are there other nominations? Hearing none, we'll have a vote. All in favor of Stephen Brown as moderator, Maureen Hart as clerk, and Frank Rucker as treasurer, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. You have elected Stephen Brown as moderator, Maureen Hart as clerk, and Frank Rucker as treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. Spino. Article 3, to see what compensation the Windham Southeast School District will vote to pay its members. Do we have a motion for Article 3?
Here.
Lana Dever?
Lana Dever.
Lana Dever, sorry about that.
I move that the voters of the Windham Southeast School District authorize compensation in the amount of $7,000 to each director, and that the chair of the board will receive an additional $2,000 for a total of $72,000 for the entire board.
Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
I see a second. It's been moved and seconded that the voters of the Windham Southeast School District authorize compensation in the amount of $7,000 to each director, and that the chair of the board will receive an additional $2,000 for a total of $72,000 for the entire board. Is there any discussion on the motion? The voter in the pink, if you could wait just a second. We have a microphone coming your way. If you could please state your name and your town.
Tara Castine in Putney. What was the previous amount that we were paying the directors?
The administration is interrogated if they so choose.
It's the same as it was last year. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the same as it was last year.
Further discussion on the motion. Further discussion. The voter in the blue sweater,
In the black mask.
black mask.
I was trying to do the math.
Hey, I'm just going to stop you for 1
Oh,
second. If you
name?
could name and town, please.
Jamie Comtois Putney.
Thank you.
I was just doing the math, and 7,000 divided by 1,000 hours. I just was trying to figure out, can somebody help me, maybe the treasurer, help me figure out how many dollars an hour that is?
Sure. You want to do 1,000 hours divided by $7,000, dollars per hour? And
Mr. Rucker, if you could put the microphone to your closer to you, that'd be helpful too.
so I think that's $7 an hour.
Okay, so I just wanted to honor the labor of the Windham Southeast School District Board and their volunteer work that they put in annually, weekly, hourly. So thank you for your service.
Further discussion on Article 3. Further discussion. Are we ready to call the vote? The motion on the floor, I'll repeat it one more time. The motion on the floor is that the voters of the Windham Southeast School District authorize compensation in the amount of $7,000 to each director, and that the chair of the board will receive an additional $2,000 for a total of $72,000 for the entire board. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You've passed Article 3. Thank you. We will next move on to Article 4 to see if the voters of the school district authorize the school board to expend $62,704,054, which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing fiscal year. Do we have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Moderator, we do.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes, Sean Murphy from Guilford. I move that the voters of the Windham Southeast School District authorize the school board to expend $62,704,054 which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing year.
Is there a second to the motion? It's been moved and seconded that the voters of the Windham Southeast School District authorize the school board to expend $62,704,054, which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing fiscal year. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Murphy, you're the maker of the motion. You can speak first.
Great, thank you very much. The Windham Southeast School District Annual Meeting Budget Overview. As the board and school community stakeholders plan for fiscal year 2023-2024, our proposal has been informed by years of lessons learned and effective strategies used to bring about improved student supports, opportunities, and outcomes, especially as we emerge from the effects of the pandemic. FY24 includes the last year of the grant funds from the Federal Elementary and Secondary Emergency Relief Act, known as ESSER, which enabled us to focus on recovery plan goals to improve student mental health and well-being, student engagement, academic achievement, and student success. These goals have guided our investment of federal, state, and local resources. This budget plan was developed to implement the following programs and supports for our students and school community. 1, to provide educational resources needed to improve student achievement. 2, support and train teachers and instructional coaches to address social, emotional, and diversity equity issues. 3, implement student engagement activities. This includes after-school programs and outdoor learning opportunities. 4, capital improvements to support safe and healthy learning environments and climate change mitigation strategies. The board incorporated Vermont legislative mandates affecting programs and financial resources in the budget, which include Act 72, 173, 11, and the Tax Commissioner's Education Funding Forecast. These acts address school facilities, special education programs, insurance, and premium costs. The following statistics represent the key conditions considered in this budget proposal. Student enrollment is projected to remain stable at 2,400. State support for income-eligible households will increase. Equalized homestead school property tax rate is expected to decline to $1.51, down 6.5%. Due to fluctuations in the real estate market, CLA adjusted school property tax rates are expected to vary. The proposed budget spending amount is up 2.7%. These increases are attributed to the additional positions needed to support students and a 12% increase in health insurance costs and increases in special education costs. Capital improvements for the FY24 include 38 projects, as outlined in the capital plan. Improvements include HVAC system upgrades, various building thermal improvements and roof replacements, All improvements consider state and local climate impact goals. You can find additional information in the annual report that you picked up on the way in, and it's also on the WSESU website. And I'd like to put an emphasis on the WSESD Independent Budget Review Committee FY 2024 budget report. This report was done by 4 individuals, 1 from each town, and they have done an exemplary job. So I think they're definitely to be thanked very much. The board is unanimous in supporting this budget as a fiscally responsible plan to respond to our student and school community needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Is there further discussion on Article 4? In the way back. If you could please state your name and your town when you get the microphone.
Ricky Rosati, Montesca, Gandikina, and I was curious if any of the school budgets in Brattleboro and or any of the other joining schools, if their budget has ever been voted against, and if there is any opportunity for, instead of a yes or no to the total budget, for the budget to be itemized for us to vote on individually, the different sections of it.
The administration's been interrogated, if you so choose.
I didn't hear the question.
So I think the question, and if I'm incorrect, I think the question was whether other towns have had their budgets voted down, and whether the voters have the ability to essentially line item veto or go through each line item and vote on the budget. Is that a fair summary of your question? Yes. Okay. Mr. Rucker, are you taking that?
Yeah, so Vermont statutes require that the electorate vote on the article as proposed in the amount that is proposed. There is no provision for the electorate to parcel out segments of the budget. It is, as it's read, authorization for the board to expend, and in this case, it's the $62,704,000. There is no provision in Vermont law to create subsets of a budget approval process at an annual district meeting.
In the red jacket, and if we have a microphone coming your way. It'll be there in about 3 seconds.
Jody Normado, Dummerston. If I'm correct, though, you can increase or decrease the amount that you're asking for.
Absolutely.
And you forgot to say that.
Thank you for that comment. That's absolutely correct.
Further discussion on Article 4. Any further discussion on Article 4?
Hi, Rebecca Olmsted, Dummerston. Is this where we can ask you questions, particularly on like a line item?
Yes.
Okay, so I was just wondering about Medicaid EPSDT, the proposed fiscal year 24, the increase 71,763.
The administration's interrogated.
Page 8.
Okay, so page 8 in the annual report, you are referring to the revenues. Page 7 and 8 identify the various revenue sources for the budget. I think, germane to your question, you're asking why do we see an increase in the Medicaid revenue. And that is directly related to the amount of reimbursement that we are forecasting that we're able to apply for through the state agency. Both Medicare and EPSDT funding is related to the amount of services that we provide that are eligible to be reimbursed. And we see those services increasing based on the greater need.
Further discussion on Article 4. I see no other new hands. We'll go back to Ricky Rosati.
Thank you. I was curious about follow-up questions from my previous one, which was two parts. So I'm guessing that there is no known, that no one knows if the budgets were ever not passed and what would happen as a result of that. But are you saying that so that none of the directors can offer the ballot to be itemized, but the budget can only be parceled into articles if was it a state representative or a senator changes that? There can be like no public vote on it? Is that what you're saying?
Does the administration wish to respond? Mr. Rucker.
Just to clarify, as Mrs. Normando clarified in the follow-up comment, the electorate can make a motion to change the budget up or down. And that is the purpose of Article 4, to authorize the board amount to expend, and it can be amended up or down.
I understood what was explained about how the laws are currently working, but I was asking about the procedure for how to legally change that.
Yes, these are laws set by the Vermont State Legislature, and it would be that body through the introduction of a bill sponsored by a legislator to change Vermont law.
Do any of the directors plan on communicating with them about that as an agenda intention?
The board has been interrogated if they so wish to respond. Do you understand the question? I think the question is, do you intend on asking the legislature for permission for the voters to line item veto and to go through each line item in the budget?
I can say that I've had no communication. I haven't myself. I'm not sure about anyone else on the board.
Is there any of the other board members want to address the query? All right, further discussion on...
When she said she had no communication, what did she mean?
So I think we're kind of veering off
I've had no communication in regarding this issue with anyone in the Vermont legislature.
So I'd like the focus to really remain on the article, the motion. The motion, just as a reminder, is whether the voters of the Windham Southeast School District authorize the school board to expend $62,704,054, which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing fiscal year. Further discussion on Article 4. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, are we ready to vote? All those in favor of passing the motion, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Congratulations, you've passed a school budget for the next fiscal year. All right, we're now heading into, I believe, Article 5, which is transacting other business. It is my duty as your moderator to remind the body that the article entitled Other Business shall not be used for taking binding municipal action, and a moderator shall so rule. So in other words, this is essentially just a request of the board. It has no binding authority on the board if any motions are made. I understand Christina Naylor has a motion. And there is Christina Naylor. If you could just state your name and your town, please. Once a microphone makes it to you. It's on its way.
Christina Naylor Dummerston. I move that the district nominate one representative from each forming town to serve on the Independent Budget Review Committee for the upcoming year. Mr. Moderator, could I speak to the motion?
You can once it's seconded, if it's seconded. Is there a second to the motion? I do see a second. It's been moved and seconded that the Windham Southeast School District nominate one representative from each forming town to serve on the Independent Budget Review Committee for the upcoming year. Before you do speak, Ms. Naylor, I believe what we'll do here, if the motion does pass, we'll then open up the floor for nominations. We'll take a vote on any nominations that are made. So without further ado, if you'd like to speak to the motion, now's your time.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I have served on the IBRC for the past 2 years. The Independent Budget Review Committee was created by a vote of the WSESD electorate in 2021. The purpose of this committee is to independently review the budget and create a report which explains the budget to the electorate and also takes into account the interests and concerns of each town in the district. The annual report is an excellent document which presents all the information to voters. However, many of the elements of this report are determined by state requirements and are not always in the most readable format. It's also usually over 100 pages. Also, in our merged district, board members represent all the students and all the taxpayers. So it is challenging for board members to write a report that addresses more local needs and concerns. For example, last year, our report devoted extra attention to how the federal COVID relief funds were being used in each school in the district to address the learning loss. This year, our report devoted extra space to explaining how each town's tax rate is affected by the market value of houses in that town. And our IBRC report is the white insert in your annual report. I have found this committee requires about a 40-hour time commitment for members. To create the report, members attend approximately 1-hour weekly budget meetings most weeks in November through mid-January. And since budget meetings are recorded, they can also be reviewed afterwards at a more convenient time for committee members. Once the budget is completed, the committee works together to determine community concerns and create a report to explain the budget, address community concerns, and possibly give a recommendation on the budget. It is helpful if committee members have some interest in finances. We are fortunate to have a veteran business manager and veteran board members who are able to explain the particulars of school finance formulas and are able to answer questions along the way to help assure the committee members understand the budget and tax consequences for our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Naylor. Oops, am I on? Here we go. Thank you, Ms. Naylor. Is there any discussion on the Naylor motion? Any discussion on the Naylor motion? Are you ready to call a vote? All those, and I will repeat the motion one more time because I'm sure everybody wants to hear it one more time. The motion is that the Windham Southeast School District nominate one representative from each of the forming towns to serve on the Independent Budget Review Committee for the upcoming fiscal year. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You've passed the Naylor motion. Now we will take nominations for each of the 4 towns, and it's my intention to take nominations starting with Brattleboro. I do see a hand. Ms. Normandeau. Point of order.
Fred Brunig, Putney. This is for non-binding.
This is non-binding.
Business, right? Okay.
This is non-binding.
Just want to be clear.
Yes, the point is well taken. Thank you. Ms. Normandeau?
Jody Normandeau from Dummerston. I was actually going to make 2 nominations, the first and the second, Brattleboro and Dummerston. I was going to nominate Jackie Reynolds for Brattleboro and Christina Naylor from Dummerston. They both have done a wonderful job serving on this, as you can read in their report, and they're very knowledgeable in this. So I would hope that they could continue. Thank you.
Thank you. And nominations do not need a second. We will take further nominations, and we might as well also take nominations for Dummerston, Guilford, and Putney. So we'll open it up to all the towns, and we'll vote by town.
Thanks. Mike Roberts from Guilford, and I'd like to nominate Maggie Foley for Guilford.
Maggie Foley? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Moderator, that was my nomination also, so maybe I'm seconding that one. Thank you.
Okay. Ricky Rosati?
Question, do the nominees have to be school board members?
So I'll let the board, if they feel so inclined, to answer that question. The question is, does a member of the Budget Review Committee have to be a board member?
I think that they're not supposed to be a board member. That's my understanding.
Okay, thank you. I nominate myself, Ricky Rosati.
For Brattleboro?
Wansaska Kandikina.
I'm going to take that as Brattleboro. Further nominations for Brattleboro, Dummerston, Guilford, and Putney. We do not have anybody from Putney. Yes. The microphone's on its way. Come on, Putney.
Jamie Comtois, Putney. This is a message shared on behalf of the Putney community by the Putney Select Board. We have heard the request for a nomination and will work to present a nominee to the Windham Southeast School District Board at a future date. This has been brought to you by Putney.
Okay. All right, thank you, Putney. Is there anybody from Putney here that wants to serve on the Budget Review Committee? All right. So we will now vote, and we'll break it down by town. We'll start with Brattleboro. We have two candidates from the town of Brattleboro. We have Jackie Reynolds and Ricky Rosati. So what we'll do is a voice vote from the floor. All those in favor of Jackie Reynolds, please say aye. Aye. All those in favor of Ricky Rosati, please say aye. Jackie Reynolds appears to have the vote as the member of the Independent Budget Review Committee from Brattleboro, and of course this is non-binding as it's been previously recognized. Unless there's an objection from the floor, the body will elect Christina Naylor for Dummerston. Is there an objection? That's based on unanimous consent. And the same for Maggie Foley from Guilford. Unless there's an objection from the floor, Maggie Foley will be the representative from the town of Guilford. Is there further discussion for new business under Article 5?
Jamie Comtois, Putney. I don't know Maggie Foley in Guilford, and I was just curious if, I know the other folks, so I was just curious about how to find out something about the person being nominated. Because it's to review the budget, correct? And then to go through that process of...
That's correct. I will, I'll pass that question to the board if they feel so inclined to provide an answer.
Yeah,
Mr. Murphy.
Sean Murphy. Maggie has been the chair of the Guilford Leadership Council. Prior to that, she was on the school board in Guilford. So she's a highly motivated community person. And she is presently on the committee, so she helped develop the report that you have. So it's the four individuals. And as I said before, I read through this and I was just amazed at the level of detail, unbiased positioning on the budget. So I think it's excellent. Thank you.
Further discussion for new business under Article 5. Ms. Norman Dew from Dummerston. I'm a quick learner.
Jody Normando from Dummerston. I notice a change up there on the podium, and I'd like to recognize and thank Barb Nowakowski for all the work that she has done for, 30 years. And I used to work with her when I was on a board, and I still can call her and ask a question, and she has everything at her fingertips. And she's going to be greatly missed, and I know Mo has got a big shoes to fill, but I'm sure she will. But I'd like to ask for a standing ovation for Mama.
Thank you. Is there further discussion under Article 5? So we're at the point of the meeting where I'll take a motion to adjourn. Before we do that, I'd like to do the numbers, and Hillary Francis has the numbers. So before we read the numbers, I will pass the mic to Superintendent Spino.
Jody, you stole my thunder. We have some other dedicated folks who will be leaving the board, and I'd like to recognize them tonight. In recognition and appreciation of your dedication and service to the students and families of the Windham Southeast School District School Board during 3 years of service as a school board director, Liz Adams. Yes. In recognition and appreciation of your dedication and service to the students and families of the Windham Southeast School District School Board during 3 years of service as a school board director, Michelle Luton Green. In recognition and appreciation of your dedication and service to the students and families of the Windham Southeast School District School Board during 4 years of service as a school board director, Emily Murphy Cower. It's not easy being a school board member. Lots of hours, lots of dedication, and lots of commitment to our community. So thank you, Michelle, Liz, Emily, and to all of our board directors for your work on this budget presentation tonight.
Before I read these numbers, a big thank you to our town clerks who are always so organized and always so ready to help. The numbers for Brattleboro: out of 9,591 registered voters, we had 52 in attendance for 0.54% of the voting members. For the town of Dummerston, out of your 1,558 registered voters, you had 18 for 1.16%, which is a tie. You tied with Guilford for the highest percent of voters in attendance. Guilford, out of your 1,730 voters, you had 20, for 1.16%. Putney, out of your 1,932 voters, you had 13. And out of those 13 voters, we could not come up with an independent review board committee member. The percent of voters from Putney was 0.67%. For a total, out of the 14,811 eligible voters, we had 103 in attendance, which is 0.7% of the voting members. Is there a motion to adjourn? Okay. We can do that. We haven't had a motion yet, so we can take that under new business. If you could get a microphone. I think we all know who you are by now. But just for the record, if you could say your name again.
Jamie Comtois
Thank
Putney.
you.
I was just missing David Scholes tonight, and as somebody who was a young mom in the school district some years ago and a nerd on policy, I found a great friend in him, and I just really have missed, I just have appreciated that when I was concerned or confused or trying to figure something out, that he always would sit with me and talk with me, and I just wanted to honor his service, and just missing him tonight.
Thank you. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. Your meeting has adjourned. Thank you so much.